Let's talk shawls. Hey folks, it's Mary, aka MercyTriumphs, and this is Slow Crochet. I have been looking at all these different shawl patterns that I really want to do, and it made me think of the shawls that I had a video about was it a couple of years at this point? I did a video on my 5 favorite free pattern shawls, not patterns that I designed, but patterns that are readily available. And I realized, y'all, I don't have a lot of those shawls anymore. They haven't stayed in my collection. And I wanted to kind of do an update on what are my 5 favorites right now? And also, I'm in a moment where it's like early to mid-November, and so I'm starting to think of what are the things that I'm going to donate. So are there any shawls that I have in my collection that I don't want to keep? So this is kind of like an updated video of what are my 5 favorite shawls now? Are any of them still the same? Do I have some favorites that are different, but the ones from the previous video I'm still keeping? They're just downgraded from favorite. So that's what I want to talk about today. So the first thing I want to do is show you the shawls that I have that I did mention in that original video. There's only 2 that I still have. One of them is the spring shower shawl, and this one is made out of a worsted weight wool, and it's just the original pattern. But the reason I still have this one is because this yarn was bought using a gift card to a local yarn store that my husband got for me early in our marriage. And at the time, I first made up some random kind of cardigan with it. I didn't really know what I was doing. I had done crochet in the past, but I hadn't really bought quantities of yarn according to patterns. In fact, I wasn't really taught to read a pattern. I kind of came up with that on my own. I learned how to do that just through trial and error. So the fact that I could make a shawl using some of that yarn that repurposed from a cardigan, that's something that I'm always going to want to keep. And it is wool. It has a beautiful drape to it, and I really do love how it works. I find with shawls sometimes you have really lacy ones or really kind of thick ones that don't have a lot of holes, but this one really kind of has both. I love that it has that section that's more of the grid, and then I love that lace pattern as well. And I did put tassels on it. I don't always put tassels, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I find that it just helps give it a little bit more weight and a little bit nicer drape. It sits on my shoulders a little bit more easily. I do wear it from time to time, but not as often. I find that the color is a little bit blah, to be honest. It's a beautiful color. It's a beautiful brown, and it's kind of on the lighter side, so that does work for me, but it's not one that I will always reach for. Normally, when I'm reaching for a lighter color shawl, I'll reach for this one, which was also in that original video. This is the Crochet For You shawl, and all of these patterns that I mentioned, they will be listed in the description box below, but as I did not design any of these patterns, I am not going to do a tutorial on them. The original designers have the ability to do those tutorials, but I do not. So anyway, this is the Crochet For You shawl, and what I love about this one is it's super rhythmic, and it is kind of lighter weight. Now you heard a little cling on the table. That is from this beautiful shawl pin that one of my favorite local artists made. And so when I wear it, even though it's not a super long shawl, it does kind of go into more of the triangle scarf territory, but I can just slip that beautiful shawl pin in between the stitches, not even where I'm damaging the stitches, but just those holes are perfectly sized, and I can wear it like that. And then squish it around as you do. So this is one, again, that's going to stay in my collection. That pin just stays on the shawl at all times because I can't really think of a better place to have it or show it off. I think, oh my gosh, I love those little mushrooms. It's such a joy to me. But yeah, that is one that I've also kept. Now this one I think is made out of a blend of, I can't remember, but I remember it was a blend, and I think that originally I got this yarn from a Lion Brand Santa sack way back in the day, back when I was just kind of figuring out that, number one, that those exist, but number two, that there might be something good in them. Maybe it's like Touch of Yak. Maybe that's it. Anyway, it's mostly acrylic, but it is nice and soft. And that's another 4-weight yarn shawl that I made. The other shawl that I have, I didn't put in that original video because at the time, I don't think I had an example of it. But I had worked it up a couple of different times. And since that video, I've worked it up again, but I haven't followed the original pattern. Now, this is something that I've learned about myself over the years of making shawls, is finding ways to change them or choosing designs that are going to fit me personally, my frame, my stature, my size, because everyone is a little bit different. And even though a shawl could be like a one size pattern, it doesn't mean it's going to look the same on everyone. It's not always going to give the same effect on everyone because we're all different shapes and sizes. And this is the first one that I'm going to show you of several shawls that I did this to, but I did modify the pattern. And how you do that, it's basically when you have a triangle shawl that's just your 90-degree right triangle, all you do is adjust how many stitches are in that center point and how many stitches are on the edges. And it's not an exact thing, sometimes you're fudging some, but that is what I did with this shawl, and I'm talking about the Catalina wrap. And this one was by Two of Wands, and I made this out of some black Hobby Lobby yarn. I think it was even a baby yarn. It was maybe the color licorice or something, but yes, working in black. But the original shawl is much more of a right triangle, and I did those adjustments so it would be longer and more of an obtuse triangle so that the angle is wider. So therefore the edges are longer and it doesn't go down nearly as far in the back, which really works for me. So for this one, I do believe it was a 3-weight yarn. It's super soft. I think it's some kind of acrylic or synthetic blend. But again, it's one of those shawls that kind of threads the needle in between the more lacy sections and the more solid sections. I think it's a really lovely design. It has a wonderful rhythm to it. And it does have some bubble stitches in there. I did learn a lot when I was making this originally. Again, this is I think the 3rd or 4th time that I've made this particular shawl. And yeah, it is a free pattern, which is amazing to me because it is such an effective design. I like this one in particular because it can wrap around and I can tie it around my back, but also because it's black, I can keep it around for those fancy occasions where I need something more formal. In general, I don't wear a lot of black, or at least I try not to, just because I've gone on this whole adventure of color seasons and crocheting things that I'm gonna like and I'm gonna enjoy wearing that look good on me and that I feel confident in. And so I really have moved away from some of these kind of darker colors. But I am going to keep this one on hand just because it is practical. It'll be great with the formal like weddings that I sometimes have to go to or don't have to. It's a joy to go to, but it's wonderful to have an extra little kind of fancier, more upscale piece for those times. So that is why we're hanging on to this one. And again, this is not a shawl that was in that original 5 pattern video, but it was one that I mentioned there at the end because I really did love the shawl. I just don't think at the time that I had one as an example to show off. So that's why I'm showing it off now. I want to go ahead and show 2 shawls that I really love. They're actually by the same designer. One of them is the Gratitude shawl, the other is the Vintage Vibes shawl. And for both of them, I did that same technique. I will have that video listed in the description box, the video that kind of walks through the process of how I go from that more half of a square shawl into a wider shawl. But the first one, the Gratitude shawl, this one is one that is made out of 100% cotton, and I think it's like a sport weight. But it's a beautiful rhythm. And I used like a mill-in cake. And so it starts in this lovely kind of almost like a green. It's more of a green than a blue in that aqua. And then it goes into that darker color there at the edge. So this is one that is just wonderful. It really goes along with the color I'm wearing too right now, which is fun. But it's great because it's a good scale. It's wonderful colors. and it's lightweight enough that it's gonna work for like the summertime or even like the transition times and the spring and the early fall. Right now we've kind of moved out of early fall and we're into fall proper, so I'm not wearing this as much, but I could wear like a heavy coat with this and it would squash up kind of like a triangle scarf would do. And that is also something that I've noticed about when I'm able to make shawls into more of a obtuse triangle is they function more like scarves. They're a little bit more versatile. I can wear them over my shoulders, of course, but my life is pretty busy, pretty on the go. And so I love the idea that one day I will be so elegant that I'm just draped in these beautiful shawls and I'm wearing these long flowy dresses and things of that nature. You know, at my core, I would love to live a cottagecore life. Having it more of a triangle scarf is more practical, and it means that I actually get to wear and enjoy the pieces that I've made. And the next one is Vintage Vibes. This is my most recent completion. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm going to keep it. It's beautiful. And again, I did turn it into an obtuse triangle. It's so lovely. I love those little rows of filet crochet through there. And I think even how I treated this shawl, it started out with a much brighter colors, and I ended up bleaching it down a little bit to soften it up some. I mean, I think it's beautiful. But the thing is, I'm wondering if this green is just too yellow. And even though I really love this shawl, I think it's a beautiful design, it's one of those things with the color. Like the color can be a make or break sometimes. So the yellow undertones in here, I'm not so sure that that's the direction I want to go in. So if I were to pare down to just like my 5 favorites, I might not include this one, but I still do love it. I still think it's quite lovely. And another kind of common thing that you'll hear from me, you know, what happened? What happened to the other shawls? I gave them away. I am not precious with the things that I crochet, and if you compliment me on something, I might actually give it to you. In fact, one of the shawls that I really adore it, but I did end up giving it away to someone who really appreciated it, and I think it meant something to her at the time, and it's also someone that is not even in my life anymore. You know, you never know when you're going to have that one last moment to make someone's day or make a difference in their lives. This one I made with some yarn that I picked up from a beautiful yarn shop right outside of Asheville, North Carolina. This was before that horrible hurricane hit. And this is a shawl that's called the Alectrona shawl. It was an Expression Fiber Arts design. And so if you know about Expression Fiber Arts, they will put patterns on for free for like a limited time for like the first release. And that was the case for this one. Now this shawl I ended up taking to a state fair or a local fair, and I think it got like a blue ribbon. No. Sorry, blue is first place. I think it got a white ribbon. It was third place. But I really enjoyed the process. I thought it was really beautiful yarn. I'm sure that the light doesn't do it justice. There are just so many beautiful colors. I think the color of this is Slowberry. It's like a Barocco vintage DK yarn. It's really lovely. And I wish that this is a color that I gravitated towards more. Maybe this color isn't that bad. It is a little dark for me. But the challenge with this is that it is, do you see? It's a half moon shawl. So this was one of the first half moons that I had made. And to be honest, I don't think I've made another since. It has a beautiful lay. It has a beautiful drape. And it does have quite a few lacy bits. That's also one of the practical things. It's so lacy that it's a little bit impractical for my life. Things can get hung up on it, things like that. But also I just realized through making this shawl that maybe the half moon, the half circle isn't really a style that I like. It's gorgeous. I think they're wonderful, but does it hang quite the same way that I want it to? Is it a matter of so much lace? I'm not quite sure. But there are just things about this shawl that, lovely as it is, it's just not quite right. I am fairly certain I'm going to end up donating this one, much as I love it. but I did want to mention it just because it is a beautiful design. And for those that are really into more lacy shawls, I think it plays well with some of the bobble stitches, some of the texture in there. I think it's really interesting how the stitches all played out, and I do think the yarn is just beautiful. I just wish that I found myself grabbing this one a bit more and make it more worth it. So that one will definitely be donated. Again, I don't think that this particular pattern is free at this moment because it has been over a year since the pattern came out, but on occasion, Expression Fiber Arts will put their patterns for free again. Like they'll have a re-release or just like a special event for that, or sometimes they'll come out with like a knit pattern that's for free and they'll put a corresponding crochet pattern that's for free. So it is worth kind of being on their mailing list and keeping a lookout for just the different patterns that come out. This one is from yarn that I got from Expression Fiber Arts, and I can tell you right now, the color is not what I want it to be. At the time, I was thinking that I was more of an autumn color season. I'm definitely a summer, but that's where this really warm autumn colory, this I think it's called like a fox or foxtail, something. I forget the name of the color, but beautiful, beautiful color, beautiful yarn. And I think this is the Small Talk shawl. This one is a half octagon. It has 5 sides technically, but it has these 4 sections that are kind of equal, and it has these beautiful, would you call them leaves or would you call them kind of paisleys? I'm not quite sure, but I really love this shawl, and it's actually kind of sad to me that I don't wear it more often. I think it's a matter of the color. So I do intend to remake this shawl. I think it just turned out so beautifully. I love that edge design, and I think also the shape of it is really flattering. It lays really nicely over my shoulders. It feels good. It doesn't go down too deep along the back. So I would actually put this shawl design as one of my favorites now. Even though this particular shawl, because of the color, is not one that I pull from very often. I mean, don't get me wrong, it does have its place. This particular color looks great with certain t-shirts that I have, and it can be really fun. But I think if this were in a different color that was maybe a bit more flattering to me, or just one that goes along with my outfits a bit more, then I would pull from it more. So definitely gonna have to make one of these in the future. The Small Talk shawl is really pretty. And you do get in a really nice rhythm as you're making it. I think I did have to think a little bit. I had to focus a bit more, if memory serves, just because these sections, at least originally, they start off kind of small before you have your little increases, your spines. But I do remember eventually I was able to memorize it and just get into my flow there. And that, to be honest, that's one of the beautiful things about shawls, is being able to get into a flow as you're making them. And then just before you know it, and they grow and they come out so lovely. All right, it's actually 2 more shawls that I want to mention. This one is the Sis Shawl. And this might be the last remaining proper right triangle shawl in my collection. Here it is. And I think if I were to redo this shawl, I think I would start with the light blue and end with the navy. But at the time, I was thinking that I needed more of these warmer colors in my life, closer to my face. But now, of course, I want the paler, cooler colors. So the Sis Shawl is a free pattern from SisHomemade. I think they have like a round version of it, like a half circle version. They have several beautiful, beautiful free shawls. This one was made from 100% cotton cake. I think it was a sport weight, and it just turned out so lovely. Again, we're striking that balance between the more lacy sections and the more solid sections. So really, really lovely. I wouldn't mind making this one again, but again, in colors that I'm gonna pull from a lot more frequently than what I currently do. So yes, you can see from this one that it is quite a bit longer here. from the center all the way down the back, it is quite a bit longer. And so that means for my particular frame, it's not the most flattering. At least it's not, maybe it is flattering, but maybe I just don't like wearing them quite like that. I don't necessarily like feeling a shawl hanging that far down my back. So when I do wear this, I find myself kind of crunching it up a little bit. And again, wearing it more like a triangle scarf, which kind of in some ways defeats the purpose. At least if the purpose is to keep your back warm. As a triangle scarf, it's great, but if you're using your shawl kind of as a layering piece, the way you would like a cardigan or even a vest, then this kind of doesn't really serve that purpose quite as much because I don't find myself wanting to wear it that way. However, would I call it one of my favorites? Honestly, hold that thought. I'm gonna say this would be an honorable mention. I think it is really beautiful. I would 100% want to do it again, but would it be fully a favorite? I'm not sure. I don't know if this shawl would be a good candidate for turning into an obtuse triangle. As memory serves, and again, it's been a while since I made this. I am slow crochet after all. It has been a while, and I don't think, at least, yeah, you can look on the edges. It doesn't seem that it would be quite so easy to adapt into a triangle or an obtuse triangle shawl just because you don't have a consistent increase on the edges of like 2 double crochets or 2 treble crochets or however you do your increases. So it might not be that easy to adapt. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Should I have the right yarn in the right colors? I think I would love having it just in different colors. This is another honorable mention shawl, and it is my last shawl currently in my collection. This is the shawl that kind of introduced me to the boomerang style of shawls, and oddly enough, I did not make it. I got to participate in a shawl swap with 5 other wonderful YouTube creators, and we all kind of put in our favorites, we made our lists, and we made shawls for one another. In fact, the gratitude shawl was a pattern I originally did for my swap partner. And then the person who made this shawl for me was sweet Cydney over at Sweet Pea Sid's Creation. She'll be listed in the description below. I don't remember the name of this shawl, but I thought it was really lovely. I love, 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 love the colors. I think the colors are just right. She nailed it there. And then even thinking about the shape of it, like how easy that is. Again, you're kind of going into triangle scarf territory right there. And maybe that's part of like the longer boomerang style. But I really find myself pulling this one a lot. I think a lot of it does have to do with the colors. It is 100% cotton, so it's super soft. But yeah, in terms of something that, well, maybe it's not fully a shawl. Would you consider it a shawl or a triangle scarf? And how do you determine the differences there? It looks like a 2-row repeat. Again, I'm not sure because I didn't make it, but it's really, really pretty. And I know that Cydney, I think she mentioned it. I will link her channel. I can't link the exact video that she talked about this shawl in. She did such a lovely job on it. I think it's a beautiful example of matching the right yarn to the right pattern. And this is definitely one that I absolutely treasure, and it gets a lot of wear from me. So that is it, friends. That is it for the shawls that are currently in my possession. This has actually been good for me. This has helped me to process a little bit of the shawls I am going to let go of. I think I need to do a separate video where I show the shawls that are going to be donated, because I have a bunch that I am going to donate, at least 3 off the top of my head, if not more, maybe 4, and then adding a few more that were just in my regular rotation collection. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. Thank you for talking shawls with me. One of the things I love about this channel is hearing about the shawl patterns that you like. I'm always interested in hearing about new ones or even tried and true favorites. So do let me know in the comments, what is your favorite shawl that you're currently working on or that you have worked on, or just your go-to shawl pattern? Because then other people can check down there and get other ideas and be exposed, just learn about some new shawls that are out there. Thank you to everyone who has liked and shared and commented and subscribed to the channel, all of that stuff that the algorithm supposedly likes. And it really does encourage me. It's been such a joy to share my joy with shawls with you and to be part of your lives. If for whatever reason I'm not your cup of tea, thank you so much for listening this long. I really do appreciate you, and I do hope I'll see you again soon. Bye.